Friday edition of PFT Live / PFT PM hiatus style. Heading to the beach next week. Undisclosed location. Reminder, there will be a full security force here at the undisclosed address in West Virginia, so don't mess around. As I once told Chris Sims, no need for a gate at the bottom of the hill when you got a shotgun at the top. On that happy note, let's get to some of the news. And thank you in advance to Saints GM Mickey Loomis for appearing on the Adam Shine podcast on Thursday, because it gave us things about which to write and about which to speak. And I'm going to start with the thing that resonated for me from the Mickey Loomis interview, the question of whether and to what extent the New Orleans Saints pursued, considered, contemplated the possibility of signing Tom Brady when he became a free agent in 2020. I thought it was odd, to say the least, that multiple Sunday splash reports on the first Sunday of the 2020 regular season, when the Buccaneers were visiting the Saints to get things rolling, Tom Brady and Drew Brees, the first of what would be 3 battles that year. That day, we heard for the first time how close the Saints were to signing Tom Brady. And those reports suggested, and there have been reports since then suggesting, that the Saints were toying with the idea of signing Brady even after Drew Brees had informed the team he'd be back for the 2020 season. Mickey Loomis was asked about the Brady consideration on Thursday by Adam Shine, and what Loomis said was, and I'm paraphrasing here because he didn't get into detail, and that's always the smart thing to do, but he said once we knew Drew was coming back, that was the end of any other discussion. So that means officially, and look, I'm the first to say don't believe anything anyone tells you, because there's a strategic objective that's at play that may not mesh with being honest. But the official position from Mickey Loomis is once they knew Brees was coming back, they weren't pursuing anyone else. Now, the thought I had yesterday, and this is where cynicism comes into play, and you look at the various connections among individuals in the NFL. Don Yee, who represents Tom Brady, also represents Sean Payton. And to the extent that Yee may have been telling other teams the Saints were at the table even after Brees told the Saints that he's coming back, maybe that has kind of gotten around, and maybe Yee was doing that with the blessing of Payton, his other client, because, look, if it comes down to the Bucs, and obviously it did, if there is another team out there that's in your division that is contemplating signing Tom Brady, that's a way to get more stuff out of the Buccaneers. And that's one of the things I heard last week when we were trying to figure out the mystery team that Tom Brady was referring to when he appeared on The Shop on HBO. The question of whether Brady wanted too much. The theory is the Raiders were the team that bowed out late, and that thus Derek Carr was the unnamed mother effer to whom Brady was referring on The Shop, that the Raiders just thought, this guy wants too much. And one of the things he wanted, as I understand it, and I think he got it in Tampa, free license in the facility and around the team for Alex Guerrero, the TB12 guru that had gotten frozen out of New England eventually. So, hey, if whatever else the Buccaneers have to do that they otherwise aren't inclined to do to get Tom Brady, if thinking that Brady's other alternative is to go play for the Saints, that would seem to be the thing that would get the Buccaneers to give up more, chew up more salary cap space, whatever it may be. You don't want it to be easy for one of your top rivals. You want it to be difficult. And at the end of the day, it looked like it worked because the Saints swept the Bucs in the regular season. But obviously, for any of us who have been paying attention to football for the past several months, we know that the Buccaneers beat the Saints when it mattered most in the divisional round of the playoffs. Another topic that Loomis got into, and we have the stories at PFT with the full quotes. I'm not going to read anything verbatim, in part because I don't have it in front of me. But Mickey Loomis talked about the 2 main candidates to become quarterback of the team this year. Starter, who will it be? Will it be Taysom Hill? Will it be Jameis Winston? Winston became a free agent after the 2020 season. He signed a deal that pays him less than what Taysom Hill is due to make this year. I don't know that that really matters. Here's what I go back to. In 2020, when Drew Brees got injured, remember he had, I think, more broken ribs than there are ribs in the human body. But when Brees got injured, and we spent a whole week thinking based on reporting that was being done at the time, that Jameis Winston would be the starter. And then all of a sudden, we find out Friday of the week, in advance of, I think it was a game against the Falcons, that Taysom Hill would get the nod. What Sean Payton eventually said at that time, in that general period, was that he had given his word to Taysom Hill that if Breeze got injured during the 2020 season, Hill would get the opportunity to replace him. He had made that promise to Taysom Hill because the year before, obviously, it was Teddy Bridgewater who went 5-0 while Drew Brees was injured. He had that thumb injury that he suffered against the Rams, I believe it was. So last year, Hill had been given that promise. And remember, Hill signed a new contract in the offseason, was going to be a restricted free agent, had to decide to stay with the Saints, re-up with the Saints. And I think part of that conversation was, as Payton told the world, he'd given Hill his word that he'd get the chance if Breeze got injured. But at that same time, Payton also said he'd promised Jameis Winston he'll have a chance to compete for the starting job in 2021. Now, that was kind of odd at the time because Winston's only under contract through 2020, but it made it clear that the Saints wanted to bring Winston back. Winston became a free agent. No one flocked to try to sign him to the kind of contract that would make him a clear-cut starter like the Panthers did with Teddy Bridgewater in 2020. So Winston returns, and I think that he's been promised multiple times now he gets a chance. He gets a chance to compete. And we'll find out who the better option is. Now, if you go with Winston, you still have the Taysom Hill package. That's an attraction. That actually hurts Hill. The fact that he can do all those other things about which Loomis raved to Adam Shine hurts him in the competition to be the starter because, hey, if it's about putting your best 11 on the field, let Winston play quarterback, let Taysom Hill be the jack of all trades and do different things. But however it plays out, they're going to go with the guy that they think gives them the best chance to win. And it could be something that's decided on a week-by-week basis. It could be something that's decided on a drive-by-drive or play-by-play basis. But it will be a fair competition, I believe, and I think Sean Payton will go with the guy that he thinks deserves to play. And it may not be a 17-game decision that's made week one against the Green Bay Packers. And the other factor, Sims and I have talked about this on PFT Live, Payton has that proclivity of coming up with plays anywhere and everywhere, up to and including kickoff. Sunday morning, breakfast, got some new plays that I came up with. Here they are. Which guy is going to be better suited to adapting to those plays, to incorporating those plays and performing them the way that Sean Payton wants them to be performed? Breeze could do it. Hill's been around to watch it, but Winston was too. Remember how emotional Winston was when Breeze retired, how much Winston learned last year about how to be a pro? One of the things about being a pro is being flexible and adaptable. You never know what's going to get thrown at you. You have to just keep going. You just keep going, no matter what the potential distraction may be, no matter what the challenge may be. And one of the biggest challenges of playing quarterback for Sean Payton, being ready on Sunday morning to find out that the game plan has been expanded by several more plays. It'll be fun to watch because, look, bottom line is Saints continue to be a contender in the NFC. This is nothing against Drew Brees, our new NBC colleague, but it's no secret. The arm strength wasn't what it used to be later in his career. With Hill and Winston, the arm strength is there. And the farther down the field that the quarterback can throw the ball, the more of the field that the defense has to defend. It's a testament to how good Drew Brees is at diagnosing and executing the plays that are called in obvious partnership with Sean Payton, that offense can operate at a very high level even though the defense doesn't feel compelled to cover all the way to the goal line. Now this year, you add in the reality that if you creep up to the line of scrimmage, someone may run right by you and that ball is going to go over the top and it's not going to be underthrown. It's going to land right in the hands of the wide open receiver. I got a theory, hypothesis. I don't know what it is about Aaron Rodgers. Look, we're 2 weeks and a few days away from finding out whether he shows up or doesn't show up for training camp. And the reason we're talking about it is he's had every opportunity to let us know whether or not he's going to be there, and he has chosen not to tell us. We'll see. So until we find out, it's free and fair and proper to play out the various scenarios. I think he's going to show up. I think that Mark Murphy, the CEO of the Packers, wants him to not show up. I think Murphy would prefer, number one, Rodgers becomes the clear villain in all of this by not showing up. Hey, you're under contract. Got it under your contract. Under your contract. You're under contract for 3 more years. Contract. You're in the wrong for not showing up. You signed this contract. You committed to this team. You need to be here. That's what the attitude likely will be if history is a guide. The team's fans always line up behind the laundry. And in Green Bay, the key distinction is the fans also own the team. So they're even more inclined. When push comes to shove between franchise and player, they're going to side with the franchise. And if player violates his contract and stays away, player becomes the one with whom they're the most upset, which makes them less inclined to be upset with Mark Murphy or Brian Gutekunst. On top of that, they get to find out what Jordan Love has. The expectations plummet for 2020. And after the year, the Packers not having to worry about Rodgers playing for another team and maybe winning a Super Bowl and making them look stupid for moving him to another team or setting the stage for him to want out by drafting Jordan Love. You don't have to worry about that this year. You trade him after the season, and I still think that the Packers get more trading Rodgers after 2021 than they would get trading him now, because you're going to have more teams who have gone through a full season, who have decided this quarterback that we believed in, we no longer believe in. Let's get in the running for Aaron Rodgers. There will be more teams at the table. If they decide right now to trade him, it's the Broncos and who? Who? Maybe the Raiders. Maybe. And I think from the Raiders' perspective, they'd have to consider it because we don't want him to go to the Broncos. So I think that the best way for Rodgers to get out may be to show up. This is where I was heading with all that. I think that even though the Packers have shown no inclination to trade Aaron Rodgers, I think if he shows up and Murphy and Gutekunst and the board of directors and the executive committee all realize this is going to be a very awkward and stressful season. Everyone is just coming off of what was a very awkward and stressful 2020 because of the pandemic. Because think about it, even though they got all the games in, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. There was a constant sense of holding your breath while waiting for the bottom to fall out of the season. Every week, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Who's going to be the team that can't play a game? When are they going to have to cancel games? Where are they going to play the games they canceled? When are they going to play the games they canceled? What happens if they don't play all the games? Are they going to determine playoff spots based on win percentage? Remember, that was a big topic last year. I don't think the Packers want another year where they're worried about something every week. And this year, instead of worrying about the pandemic, they're worrying about what Aaron Rodgers is going to say or do that will cause a mini brush fire that they need to worry about. We know he's got a propensity to make passive-aggressive comments, and we know that he goes through, as I know, we've seen it. We play the clip all the time of him calling me out by name during the, I think it was 2016 or 2017 season, when I was connecting the dots to show that he was making passive-aggressive comments about then-coach Mike McCarthy. Oh, and he was. You could see the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other coaxing him. The devil was coaxing him to call me out. The angel said, don't give that guy the benefit. Don't give him the power by letting him know that you're reading what he's writing and you want people to not waste their time reading that crap. You know, I may put that on my tombstone. I don't know. Don't waste your time reading this crap. But I don't think the Packers want a full season of needing an interpreter to figure out what it is that Aaron Rodgers was saying in his post-game press conference or in his midweek press conference, mandatory press availabilities that he has. So, to finally land this plane so that you're not wasting your time listening to this crap, I think if he shows up, there's a chance the Packers decide to trade him. There's a chance that they give the Broncos a call. There's a chance that come week 1, it'll be Jordan Love versus either Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, and Aaron Rodgers will be starting for the Denver Broncos. There's a chance that happens if he shows up. So, Aaron, to get out, you may have to get in. You may have to show up. Because I think when you show up, and maybe, hey, look, maybe this is super genius, evil genius, Aaron Rodgers realizing how to manipulate the situation. He's created enough chaos in the offseason to make Mark Murphy not want him there. So, easiest solution, he doesn't show up. Great. He shows up. Oh, boy. Now we got to deal with him all year. Let's just go ahead and trade him and be done with it. Now, that leads to one more topic that I want to get to. I was on WQAM in Miami this morning with Zach Krantz, Joe Rose, who's hosted that show for years, and I've been on that show every Friday morning for years. Joe was off. Zach and I were talking about the Rodgers situation, and he raised the question of how many teams would Rodgers make into Super Bowl contenders immediately if the trade happened right now, regardless of who they currently have. And obviously, there are a lot of teams that already are Super Bowl contenders without Aaron Rodgers. Or, yes, they're already, like the Bills. Yeah, the Bills are a Super Bowl contender with Josh Allen. If for some reason the Bills would decide to trade for Aaron Rodgers, which they would never do because they have Josh Allen, they're still a Super Bowl contender. So what I've done is I've gone through team by team. And I'm curious about the teams that currently aren't, in my mind, based upon their present quarterback situation, true Super Bowl contenders. Does Rodgers make them into contenders, yes or no? Now, before I get to that, here are the teams that I think are contenders with or without Aaron Rodgers. Super Bowl contenders with or without Rodgers on the team. The Bills, the Patriots, and yes, I believe the Patriots are Super Bowl contenders, given the upgrades they've made this offseason and the presence of Bill Belichick as the head coach. The Steelers, the Browns, the Ravens, the Titans, the Colts, the Chiefs, and the Chargers in the AFC. Those are the teams that I think are Super Bowl contenders with or without Aaron Rodgers. In the NFC, the Cowboys, and even though I think Washington's going to win the division, I think if it works for the Cowboys, they're more likely to be a Super Bowl contender, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to say the Cowboys, the only Super Bowl contender out of the NFC East for now, even though I think Washington wins the division. The Buccaneers, the Saints, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers. Those are all the teams that are Super Bowl contenders. If for some reason they would decide, hey, let's go ahead and get Aaron Rodgers, and the Packers will trade him. Now, here are the teams that become contenders for the Super Bowl, who I currently think aren't. You put in Aaron Rodgers, and they're contenders. The Dolphins become Super Bowl contenders. They currently aren't. The Raiders become Super Bowl contenders. In my mind, they currently aren't. The Broncos become Super Bowl contenders. In my mind, they currently aren't. Washington becomes a Super Bowl contender. In my mind, even though I think they're going to win the division, I don't think they're going to have enough to punch through to the Super Bowl. The Vikings become Super Bowl contenders. In my mind, they currently aren't. The Bears, they're not going to do it, but they would become Super Bowl contenders. In my mind, they currently aren't. And then the others I've added, the Panthers and the Cardinals. I don't think either team is a Super Bowl contender right now. I think they would be with Aaron Rodgers. The teams I struggled with were the Falcons and the Giants. I put them on the no side. And these are the teams that I think Aaron Rodgers wouldn't make them into Super Bowl contenders. Jets, Bengals, Texans, Jaguars, Giants, Eagles, Lions, Falcons. But the two on which I was the closest are the Giants and the Falcons. And it's no coincidence that they're NFC teams because the AFC is so damn top-heavy. I don't care who the quarterback is of the Jets this year. They're not a Super Bowl contender. They're not ready yet from a personnel standpoint. The Bengals have a long way to go to be Super Bowl contenders. The Texans have the worst roster in the NFL right now. And the Jaguars have a long way to go as well. Not that the Jaguars would want Aaron Rodgers if the opportunity arose, or the Bengals for that matter, or the Jets for that matter. Again, there aren't many teams that would want him right now. I think the Broncos are the clear leader right now. The Raiders, as I said, could get into it. And the other side of it, too, and I'm glad I thought of this. Rodgers has to want to go to the team that would trade for him. And some of you will say in response to that, but he doesn't have a no-trade clause. Well, for a starting quarterback, a no-trade clause is meaningless because, think about this. if you're the general manager of a team and you are trading for a quarterback, a guy that you want to come in and set the tone for the organization, show up, stay late, hold teammates accountable, check every box, and then some. Be the face of the team, at least from the locker room standpoint. If he doesn't want to be there, do you really want him? I think a key ingredient to making it work, especially at this stage of the year, is to have full buy-in from the quarterback. So, hey, the Dolphins become Super Bowl contenders with Aaron Rodgers. But if Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to live and play in Miami this year, if he doesn't want to be on the Dolphins this year, you're not going to make that trade because he doesn't want to be there. He may not show up. Remember when Richard Seymour was traded from the Patriots to the Raiders and it took a few days for him to recognize, oh, God, I've been traded from one of the best teams in the NFL to one of the worst. And at the time, the Raiders were one of the worst. It took him a while to realize, I just better go. Now, it's easier to do that with a non-quarterback. A quarterback can say, fine, I'll show up, but don't expect me to do all the stuff that a quarterback who's all in would do. And I think it's one of the reasons why the Bears didn't go after Carson Wentz. Remember, they were linked to Carson Wentz? Wentz didn't want to go there. Wentz doesn't have a no-trade clause. Doesn't matter. If Wentz doesn't want to be in Chicago, the Bears aren't going to waste their time trading for him. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. If he gets traded this year, I think it's the Broncos, maybe the Raiders. After this year, there will be more teams at the table. The question is, which teams would Aaron Rodgers be willing to play for? The problem is, I mean, think about it. The West Coast teams, that's where he wants to go. Well, the Rams have Matthew Stafford, and they gave up a lot to get him. They're not going to give up on him after 1 year. The 49ers, who the hell knows what they're going to do? Because they wanted Aaron Rodgers. And they're so desperate to atone for their failure to draft Patrick Mahomes and their failure to take Tom Brady up on his interest in the team that maybe they would do something crazy, like throw everyone overboard and go get Aaron Rodgers. Trey Lance for Aaron Rodgers straight up. Maybe that would happen. Who knows? The Raiders and the Broncos, I think, would still be the two teams to watch next year. But maybe the possibility of having more teams at the table could leverage one of those teams to give up more. And, of course, from Rodgers' perspective, he doesn't want the team he's going to give up too much because he's got to go play for that team. You don't want the team to be gutted. You don't want the team's draft picks for the next several years to all be gone as part of the transaction that brought you there. So, interesting dynamics, to say the least. And we'll find out in a couple of weeks whether he shows up. But the bottom line is, I think if he shows up, that gives him a better chance to get out this year instead of next year. Couple of questions. Ted Funderman. If the Vikings decide Kellen Mond is the guy next offseason, which teams would be on the list to trade for Kirk Cousins? Or will it need to be another Brock Osweiler type of a trade to unload the contract? Next year, Kirk Cousins makes $35 million fully guaranteed. I don't know that they'd have to do a Brock Osweiler deal to get rid of him. I think what the Vikings are likely to do, because I think they're going to make the playoffs this year. So I don't think the Vikings are going to flip from Cousins to Mond in the 2022 offseason. I think what happens is, come 2022, if they think Mond is ready, and if they think Mond is the guy, Cousins goes on short leash. And if the team struggles, like it did in 2020, they were not good at the start of the year, to say the least. If they struggle, then that's when Mond gets his chance. And Kirk Cousins at that point becomes the highest paid backup quarterback in league history. I think that's how it plays out. I think they have the cap space in order. They understand they got to take their medicine on the Cousins deal. They have Mond on a third-round rookie contract, so they can get away with that. You look at the full dollars allocated to the quarterback position. Is it fair that Mond isn't getting very many in relation to Cousins? No. But from the Vikings' perspective, we have Cousins, we have Mond for 2 years. It's Cousins this year without question. Next year, I think going into the year, it'll be Cousins without question. And then if questions arise, they'll flip to Mond. And then it makes it easier when the season ends for the Vikings to let Cousins walk away, which is, I think, what will happen ultimately. I'm convinced it's Cousins' team, barring injury, wire to wire this year. And I'm convinced after next year, Cousins will be gone. Very important question from Paul Zulak. Who's the best character on Seinfeld, not including the four main characters? All signs point to David Puddy. I'm a big David Puddy fan, but look, I don't know if it's a sentimentality because Jerry Stiller passed not that long ago. The months and the weeks and the years are starting to blur together, but I love Frank Costanza. Frank Costanza makes me laugh like no one else on that show. And Frank Costanza, I think, stole every single scene that he was in. That's what makes him, in my mind, my favorite beyond the main four characters. Tom Marshall, otherwise known as A Red Zone Alk. Who starts more games this year, Deshaun Watson or Jameis Winston? That's a great question. And, of course, anytime anyone says that's a great question, that just means I'm buying time because I don't know what the answer to the question should be. I'll say, See, we don't know enough right now to know what's up with Deshaun Watson. Will he settle the cases before camp? With each passing day, hour, minute, it becomes less likely, but it can happen at any time. If he doesn't settle before camp, will they put him on paid leave? The NFL, as I've said time and again, owes it to Watson, the Texans, and any interested teams to let everyone know where he stands before training camp begins. All that said, I'm going to go with Winston, but you could flip a coin on it. We don't know enough yet to know for sure. Based on what we know now, my hunch is we're going to see more starts from Winston than Watson. But that could change really by the end of the day. If this weekend's Friday afternoon bad news dump includes the news that the Watson cases have settled. Valleyman 12, what would constitute a successful season for the New York Jets? Why, winning the Super Bowl, of course. Right? Isn't that how every team defines success? No, that's how every team says it defines success, so the fans believe that the team is trying to get to the top of the same mountain that the fans want, conjugation error, fans want the team to. I think that 500, well, you know what? You can't be 500 anymore. 8-8-1. 8-8-1 or better would be a successful season for the New York Jets. And it would lay the foundation. If they would get to 8-8-1 or better this year, that would lay the foundation for them to become contenders as soon as next year. Let's see what else we have. At Jewish Writer, not a question, but you said with respect to Kyle Shanahan, maybe there is a strategy there that I am not capable of grasping. It's called strategic transparency. Players, scouts, others in the organization, and fans respect Kyle's honesty. It also helps steer reporters towards the stories rather than making up some tabloid negativity. It actually has been very successful for him. I don't buy it. Don't buy it. I don't buy it. Because I look at the greatest coach of all time in any sport, Bill Belichick, he doesn't say crap. If there was value to strategic transparency, Bill Belichick would be engaged in it. I think the most recent thing that happened, Sean McVay invites Kyle Shanahan to appear on Sean McVay's podcast. Kyle Shanahan knows that if he says no, he comes off as chicken, like Marty McFly. Timely reference. He doesn't want to be called a chicken. He doesn't want to be perceived as a chicken. Come on, Kyle, we're just going to talk football. Come on. What are you afraid of? We're just going to talk. So Kyle basically allows himself to be shamed into doing it because he doesn't want to look like he's afraid of having a conversation on the record with his top rival. And clearly Sean McVay is his top rival. They play each other twice a year. McVay's got the team right now that would be regarded as the best on paper in the NFC West. And then Kyle starts talking, and Kyle says things. And I think once Kyle gets to talking, he can't keep himself from saying things. So, let me give you the best example. Now, I'm not this way anymore, but there was a time that if I had one of those big-ass bags of M&Ms, the peanut ones, like the big, giant 1-pound bag, if that thing was in my house, I could not resist eating all of the peanut M&Ms in one sitting. Now, if it wasn't there, I'm not thinking about peanut M&Ms. I'm not going to go to the store and buy a giant bag of peanut M&Ms. I can walk right by that aisle at the grocery store, and I love going to the grocery store. I can walk right by it and not buy the big-ass yellow bag of peanut M&Ms. But if that thing's in my house, It's not surviving. And I don't know. I just kind of came up with that because I think it explains how Kyle needs to protect himself from himself. For me, it meant not letting the big-ass bag of peanut M&Ms into the house. For Kyle, I think it means not putting himself in situations where he is going to say stuff that does not help him. It does not help him to talk about how he wanted Matthew Stafford. It does not help him to talk about these issues openly. Because at the end of the day, as I said yesterday, the perception that's been created, the 49ers wanted any quarterback they could find. They wanted to throw a rock and get a quarterback who would be better than Jimmy Garoppolo. At the end of the day, they gave up 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to draft a rookie who is stuck behind Jimmy Garoppolo on the depth chart, barring whatever happens at training camp. Makes me think. Because I don't want to waver from my position. From the moment they traded up, I said, well, see you later, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy. It's been nice. Hope you find your paradise. I still think that they're going to hope that some other quarterback gets injured and not Jimmy G, because then they'd still owe him $25 million, and they can trade him. And if they get to that last week of the preseason, you know, there's not going to be a 4th preseason game this year. There's a bye week. They have time to shape the rosters. That's when they go to Jimmy G and they say, hey, bro, we can't pay you $25 million. Trey Lance is ready to go. You want to stay? You got to take $15 million pay cut. And you're probably going to be on the bench. We'll keep you, but you're not making $25 million. And then, or maybe they just cut him. Maybe they don't even give him the chance to take less. Maybe they say we're all in with Trey Lance. Because, look, if we can't trust you to stay healthy as the backup, how can we trust you to stay, or as the starter, how can we trust you to stay healthy as the backup? So all this talk from Shanahan and all these admissions that they wanted Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Mac Jones, Trey Lance, it makes it even more confusing that they would be ready to go into the 2021 season with Jimmy Garoppolo as the starter. Because if he does stay healthy all year like he did 2 years ago, I mean, it's not like he's Gerald Ford tripping down the steps of the airplane every time he gets off of it. 2019, he went wire to wire. 2018, he didn't. 2020, he didn't. 2021, maybe he goes wire to wire. Maybe you get back to the Super Bowl. Maybe he misses a throw with the game on the line. But we went to the Super Bowl. We're going to dump the guy that took us to the Super Bowl? Look, I still think the 49ers have been freaked out by the fact that they were caught looking on Patrick Mahomes and they swung and missed on Tom Brady. I believe that. I don't see the benefit. And to the extent that there is strategic transparency going on, I don't think it's a good plan because it's created the impression that the 49ers, who are led by a coach that I think could become the next Bill Belichick, and I still believe that, he just needs to put a sock in it. And that runs counter to every instinct that I have when it comes to operating a media outlet that is premised on people talking. And I'm frustrated by the fact that Bill Belichick won't talk because there are things you can say that don't hurt you strategically. I think that if Shanahan wants to be Bill Belichick, he needs a good consigliere. He needs somebody who can whisper in his ear, Kyle, stop it. Just stop it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. When you think about doing it, do the opposite. All right, that's it for now. Next week, TBD. I'm not going to commit. Because I'm going to take the equipment. I'm going to take the big laptop with the microphone, and I'm not going to lug the light that I use when I do these down in the basement. But I'm going to be ready at our undisclosed location somewhere in the eastern portion of the United States to do some videos. We'll see. You know how it is. You say it now, but you feel very differently once you get there. And I've been there and I've done that. I'm going to feel very differently once it's beach life. So maybe by Monday, I won't have any desire to do it. But we'll see. I'll keep you posted. And we've got plenty of videos from this week, plenty of great stuff that the guys from Brother From Another got out at Tahoe for the American Century Championship. So you'll see plenty of videos. You can catch up on that. Either way, we'll be back soon. And either way, the one thing I do when we are on vacation, I will constantly be writing content Whether or not you want to waste your time reading that crap is up to you, but it will be there for you all week long, next week, every single day of every week of every month of every year at PFT. Thanks for some of your time. Be safe, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you again real soon.